up, guys? Welcome back. Hope you got your shoes tied on tight. We're in for a bumpy ride. I got a whole bunch of parts in for this thing, and problem is I need to get it down to the shop garage area so I can get started on it. And definitely going to need to do some cutting and welding. And since we have no brakes and no steering in this thing, it's going to be a tall task, but I think we're ready for it. I'm gonna try and get this thing turned around and slowly but surely maybe use this piece of wood here as a front bumper, put some tires in there and try and strap it real tight on the back of my truck and send her on home. And here we are. This is what I've come up with. I got the frame strapped through into my tow hitch with the tire. This board is also strapped to the frame of that. We're about to go down this little hill and wish us luck. All right, next day here, and we had much success. We got the Scout in place, finally jacked up on some jack stands and ready to go to work. Gonna try to start by just basically snipping them shocks off there and pulling our leaf springs. Should be able to just basically remove the whole front axle by that. And we'll work on laying out our new front axle under here in the springs, see where we're gonna sit. I got a new Toyota Trail Gear supplied spring hanger for across the front here. We'll have to just get the housing under here set up and see where everything lays out. I want to come as far forward as I can so the tires will land as close to center in the wheel well as possible. And our new shackles will be in the rear, so the axle will kind of swing back under compression and load. And inside here, kind of all set up. So we got some vented rotors for the front axle. We're going to be using independent front suspension calipers with Land Cruiser rotors, and that'll give us a little better braking setup here. These axles I got for about $400 for the pair, which I thought was great. Those are prices of like 20 years ago. Of course, these axles look like they've been sitting in a swamp for 20 years, but we're not going to find out much until we really dig into it, pull everything apart. That's what I want to do right now, because this thing weighs about, I don't know, 500 pounds too. So I need to strip it all down, wire brush everything. We'll see what our diffs look like, what gears it's got in it. Everything seems to rotate and work as it should, as the hubs and all that. So that's a bonus. Just gonna clean everything up. It's got some lift springs on it. I think they're about 4-inch, so try to use those. Hopefully we can under the Scout, but only time will tell. We'll just have to see how everything fits up under there and what we can do. There's the spring hanger I got. This is our high steer kit, and I also got a Jeep Wrangler TJ front bumper. It actually fits really nice on there. It's a couple inches short on the sides, just looks perfect. And that was about $160, whereas one for the Scout, very similar, I mean almost identical, was $400. So saving money where we can, because it's going to be an intense project and I got a lot of things to figure out. And I hope you all will enjoy the ride with me. This is also the engine I picked up, which is a Toyota 2JZ GE. It's a non-turbo version from an IS300. It's got the variable valve timing and turns over really nice and smooth and all that. It's pretty much complete, which is great. Just gonna do a, this is just here for, you know, looks. But we are gonna do turbo manifold with a turbo, some kind of cheap eBay turbo kit on here. Probably gonna do a different intake, forward facing, and more like the GTE version, turbo version of this motor was. And we'll probably run a GTE ECU and wiring harness from an automatic, because I'm going to be doing an automatic transmission, I hope. Haven't found that yet. But so I'm hoping is the automatic with transfer case out of an early, well, like a 90s, early 90s 4Runner. Should have the correct side transfer case drop, and I should be able to put this 2JZ bell housing on it off of like an IS300, SC300, something like that, and get this all to adapt and work. So that's the plan. Let's get to it. Well, let's see what this here fluid looks like. This truck actually was an 83, and it's got a 5-digit speedometer. The earlier Toyotas did not, and it said 130,000 miles, so all I wanted was to see not a bunch of water in here. That's some very thick, nasty stuff. But there's some moisture probably over the years sitting in there, but it ain't all water. The rear axle, the pinion was loose, and when I flipped it over, a bunch of rusty water just come leaking out of it. The rear ends are very easy to get, easy to come by. I can get that out of tons of different trucks, 4Runners, real easy, no problem. But the front axle's where it's at. And this one has factory support underneath, which is nice. As an 83, 85s have another support up top, but this ought to do us just fine. Let that leak out and continue on this front end. Oh, yes. It's not all rusty. Well, I had just a little free time, so I thought I'd snip out the old front axle and throw this new one in just to mock things up and see how it sits before I clean the axle up tomorrow, get ready, and see how it all fits. I've got it exactly where it's gonna go, and it's basically dead center of the wheel well, which is crazy. And our width, that's about where the wheel would sit once the hub and everything's back on. And as you can see, we're still about an inch or two, maybe coming up higher. However, you know, there's no weight on the springs right now. So with the straight 6 motor and everything, that might be about where it sits, which is definitely high, but it's not crazy. So as far as this goes, I'd call it a win. I think we're looking pretty good. I got this front spring hanger sitting up here. Just kind of threw the bumper on just to get a look at it, but we'll pull that off and we'll check everything out. But should be good to get that cleaned up, welded on, clean up the front axle, hang everything, and then the rear. It's a little narrow on the frame, so we're probably gonna have to get a through hole kit so we don't go any higher either. And then just put a tube through there, offset it to one side, and then we'll just have an offset kicked shackle on the inside. All cleaned up, pretty darn good. This thing doesn't have to be perfect, but we're gonna start painting. I don't know what's with this two-tone, half red, half black. The truck was half green, half red, but I ain't into it. Well, I guess you guys are real lucky because I've done all the boring stuff without you. Polished this turd out, got it all cleaned up, looking pretty darn good. I think it's ready to reassemble, but Again, it's so heavy. I just want to get it tucked up under there and situated, and then we can put the new seals in, new axles, third member back in, and call it a day, get it rolling. Here we've got our new spring hanger in place. All the old brackets have been fully cleaned off, front and rear. Our steering box that we had, because the new one is going to go right straight against the frame, although it's stuck out like 3 inches. So I've centered the holes front to back with 2 different locations on the frame and side to side to the outside of frame rail. Nothing left to do now but weld it and hope to God this thing don't dog track like a dirty old junkyard dog. And that is a wrap for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please hit that like button and tell your friends. Subscribe, might as well. It's a lot more to go on this thing. So glad with the progress we've made. I mean, I wasn't looking forward to cleaning up that axle, but so glad I did. I think it looks great. Everything is centered, squared up. It's sitting on its own weight. I literally just have the jack stands under the axle right now. And I did manage to sell the 589 posi rear end out of here. Everything is really centered up, looking so good. I'm excited, ecstatic, can't wait to take the next step. Which brings me to next time. We're going to finish assembling that axle. Just need to clean things up, put the new seals on, and throw it back together. You can see exactly what it looks like with 32-inch tires, what I got on them wheels. See what that looks like sitting on there. We'll try and get the crossover high steer set up on it. And heck, if we got time, might as well throw the rear end in there too. Thanks so much, guys. Talk to you next time.